Hello friends, my name is Masood. Today we shall discuss about topic the planning poker. Friend, today's topic is very interesting, especially if you have interest in planning, Scrum and Agile, and you want to learn about it. So let's start. First of all, I would request to please subscribe to my YouTube channel and click on the bell option as well, so that my videos can reach to you. And also you can follow me on the Facebook page as well. Friend, planning poker. Basically, it's a technique which we used for normally for estimation of tasks in Scrum and Agile, and it is very similar poker game, the card based game. So we used the same technique of poker card based technique in Scrum and Agile, so that we can estimate that how much time is required to complete a project. However, it's a different technique as compared to the traditional approach of waterfall. Here basically group of people are sitting together in a meeting room, or like for example in a consensus, with proper consensus input, they basically agreed that what is the difficulty level of a user story. User story means the functional requirement of customer or to complete the project. So with the consensus and input of everyone, the whole team, basically they decide collectively that what is the difficulty level and how much time is required to complete the project, and that is called as basically story points as well. The story point is basically the difficulty level to complete a project. So here basically not only one person, like for example only one person like project manager is not deciding the planning time, the estimation. Basically as a whole complete team is basically with the consensus, with collaboration and with the input from everyone, they basically decide that how much time is required to complete the user story. User story is the functional requirement of a customer. Now basically how does actually it works, the planning poker, in which basically what we do, like the Scrum team, the team development team, basically the team which has to complete the project, they will sit in a conference room, and every member the development team has set of cards, like for example the sequence will be 0 1 2 3 5 8 13 20 40 and 100, and this is the everyone has a deck of cards. Now the one person will stand out and you read the story loud, user story. Like for example there is a story that on a e-commerce store, the customer can do the payment through the credit card. For example, this is the user story, this is the functional requirement. So he will discuss this story, he will read the story loud, so everyone get to know that what is the story for which we are playing, basically for which we are gamified, or you can say everyone is going to input. Next is the discuss the story. Step 3 is the discuss the story, means that the whole group will discuss the story, that how much time is required, what is the difficulty level, what are the challenges and issues are there, and how we can complete it. So basically as a group all members are discussing with each other about the user requirement or functional requirement. Then select and share, that means after the discussion, the story has been discussed, each person will privately select a card from the deck, okay, select a set of cards and use to show an estimate of story points. Okay, so once everyone select a card, they show them at the same time. So everyone, for example, if 5 persons are sitting in the conference room, so they will every member select a card for that story. That means for example customer can do the payment through the credit card at the e-commerce store, so everyone will show their cards at the same time. It's a very similar approach which we use in the card based game of poker as well. Then in the last step, that everyone reach a consensus, that means once they show their cards, team member show their card, then they will reach on some consensus. For example, one is showing 5, one is showing 4, one is showing 3, so they will discuss with each other and they will reach at some consensus. So that means for example 5 and 4, mostly people shown 5 or 4, for example difficulty level, user per story point. So they will discuss and reach at some consensus, that for example they will reach consensus that this is the story point for this planning poker for this story is 4, for example. However, and then move to the next story. However, if the card continue to vary, then further discussion on the story will follow, so that participant will reach on some consensus. Until they reach, after that they will move on to the next stage. Then the benefits of this planning poker game is that estimating tasks relative to each other. So that means basically everyone sitting in the conference room, like for example the development team, the software developer, the QA analyst, the deployment team, so everyone is basically putting their effort, their input in the planning process, and the decision is not from only one person, the decision is from the whole team. And one more thing, that the difficulty level vary for each other. Like for example, I can say that the difficulty level is 5 and you can say the difficulty level is 6, but with the consensus we can reach at some point. Secondly, again, the main benefit of this planning poker game is that it is a voice of everyone. Not only one person is basically giving his input, the whole team is basically taking the responsibility, and the responsibility will divide as well, because when you are participating in the planning, so obviously you have the responsibility and accountability. Responsibility will also divide among the team members as well. Then identifying the gaps in requirements and implementation, it is also a very big benefit, because see, when you are starting the consensus, so everyone is discussing the requirement with each other. Maybe I have some different opinion, you have some other different opinion, the third person has another opinion. So when they will be discussing the requirement with each other, they will reach at some consensus. And also if there is some gap in my understanding, maybe, so once I will discuss with you, my gaps will also be clarified, or maybe you have some questions which need clarification, so I can clarify your requirements or your understanding as well. So basically the gaps, whatever there are in the requirement or implementation or any gray area, will also be clarified in the discussion when they are sitting in a conference room for the consensus of the story points. Then who should include in the planning poker meetings? First one is the scrum team. Scrum team means the persons who are working on the product backlog. Product backlog means the requirements of the product, and that means, for example, the software developer, the application developer, the software designer, QA engineer, deployment team. So the core team who is basically implementing the project is called a scrum team. So scrum team must be available in the planning poker meeting. Then the scrum master is basically a facilitator in the meeting, who basically have the clear knowledge about the scrum methodology, scrum best practices, and he must have to ensure that the planning poker meeting should be attended and conducted as per the rules and as per the best practices of the scrum methodology. He will also must have to attend the meeting, so that he can ensure that the meeting is going on as per the best practices for scrum. And the last one is the product owner. Product owner is a person who basically, you can say, the voice of the customer, who basically have the complete knowledge of the product which needs to be developed. He is basically the owner of the product backlog as well. He is basically a bridge between the customer and the development team as well. And he must have to be available in the planning poker meeting, because see, he is the owner of the user stories, he is the owner of the customer requirements. So basically he must be able, so maybe there is some misunderstanding about the user requirement, functional requirement, what needs to be done, what doesn't need to be done, how needs to be done, who will do which task. So basically product owner is a person who has the clear understanding or clear vision about the product backlog, about the user story, about the functional requirement. So he must also be available and attend the product meeting, so that if there is any gap, he can clarify it. So Friend, planning poker, I must say that is a very good technique in the estimation, and it's totally different as compared to the traditional approach of waterfall, in which only a single person is taking a decision. However, planning poker, the whole team is participating in the estimation, and they will be accountable at later stage for the estimation as well. So friend, thanks a lot for watching the video. I hope you like this video. If you like it, please share it with the friends and colleagues, and thanks a lot for watching the video.